today I will meet also Prime Minister Letta, and this meeting will be, as I said, third meeting within 1.5 years on the bilateral basis when I meet Italian Prime Minister. Mario Monti visited Helsinki and I visited here when you were Prime Minister. So it tells that we are united and we have to find solutions together for common challenges. I also want to thank Istituto Affari Internazionali for inviting me to this event. It's a great honor to be here and not only to speak but also to discuss about Europe's future. Dear friends, we all know what an immensely difficult period Europe is going through economically. Clearly some member states are hit harder than the others. Italy is in historic recession. But we are all suffering. My own country, Finland, lost 8% of our GDP just in 1 year, in year 2009. Europe's economies are slowly beginning to look stronger, but we still have a long way to go. There are two issues or two words which I would like to underline in my speech, which are also the issue which I would like to concentrate on when talking about the future of Europe. The first word is competitiveness, and the second word is fair integration. So competitiveness and fair integration. Those are the issues which I'm going to touch upon in my speech today. In Finland, but probably also in other countries, it has become fashionable to blame the EU for all the troubles. People are quick to say that what they don't want from Europe. We have been concentrating on telling each other what we don't want from Europe. Some don't want European bureaucracy, others don't want Brussels to tell their country should balance public budgets, some others are tired of rescue packages. There are basically three reasons why the EU has been blamed. First, populism, because populism is kind of tool to get political power, but it doesn't lead us to anywhere. The second is that sometimes it's easy to blame Brussels because it is too difficult to do necessary reforms in our respective countries. And the third reason is that many people today find the European project unfair for a reason or another. And this latter or this third point is something to which we have to concentrate on carefully. If people find that Europe is not fair for a reason or another, then we are lacking of legitimacy of the European project. It is high time we stop saying what we don't want from Europe, and we should concentrate on what we want from Europe. We should focus our energy trying to identify what are the biggest challenges in Europe and trying to find solutions to those instead of telling what we don't want from Europe. So it would be sad if in the next year's European elections we would talk more about theoretical issues like or extreme ideas like we have to break up or bring down the European Union, or on the contrary, we have to create the United States of Europe right at the moment. Let's put those extreme philosophical things aside for a while and let's concentrate on concrete issues which will solve the European challenges. Because we don't need the issues on the table which divides us. Instead, we need issues which are concrete, which takes us forward and which unite us. People in all the countries want jobs. With 6 million young Europeans without work, new jobs, this issue must be our priority. It's a concrete challenge, which means we need to have concrete solutions for this, for instance. People want freedom. They want to move, study or work wherever in the European Union they choose. They want to speak their mind and trust that the law treats everyone equally. And people want to feel safe, not having fear for violent conflict, environmental catastrophes, or rampant crime. Can the European Union provide all that? Not by itself, obviously, but the fact is that the European integration has delivered peace, stability and well-being to European citizens on the scale never seen before in the continent's history. The history of European integration is impressive. The Nobel Peace Prize was not an accident. But we must work hard to make sure that Europe also has a bright future. Ladies and gentlemen, what should we do then? I say we should focus on very pragmatic steps to build a fair and economically thriving Europe. Do we think Europe is more competitive than Asia today? Do we think that Europe is more competitive than the United States? The answer is yes, we are more competitive in some particular areas, but no, we are not in all the areas. So this is one of the examples which needs concrete, pragmatic solutions instead of philosophical statements. It means taking practical decisions to deepen European integration in the areas which make our continent more competitive and dynamic. It means concrete actions, and it means carefully nurturing our mutual respect and shared sense of fairness. Let me first elaborate what Europe needs in order to thrive economically. And then I will say how I think we should proceed. This how is equally important because in challenging time like this, the style really matters. Europeans need jobs. To create new jobs, we need new economic vitality. What matters the most is our ability to meet global competition. Unfortunately, the EU countries have been losing their competitive edge. There's quite a lot we can achieve together at the European level. Europe's economic governance has taken big leaps forward. But the truth is that no one can reform national economies but the member states themselves. In Finland, if Finland don't adjust our unit labor costs development to the level of our neighboring competitors, we cannot survive. If we didn't do longer working careers, we wouldn't survive. So deeper integration in the European level would help us a lot, but at the same time, we have to do our own homework properly. So we need both. We need more European integration and we need more national responsibility. Finland has been losing its competitiveness during the last 10 years. It is true that Finland still scores high in international ranking, but the reality on the ground tells a partially different story. At the same time of this structural challenge, we are facing very severe industrial structural change. We have lost more than 100,000 industrial jobs in the last 10 years. That is quite a lot in a country of just 5 million people. Our traditional industries like paper, ICT and machinery are reducing labor force at the moment, and at the same time they are doing a lot of R&D work in order to develop new products to the global market. Nokia sold out loss-making mobile phone unit, got 5.5 billion euros, and will concentrate on new networks and to develop new products because they also have a huge patent portfolio. I just tell this because I want to say that Europe can help us, but we have to do our own homework. The Finnish government has reacted to our own challenges in 3 ways. We have implemented a tax reform to boost private sector investments and jobs. This included a 6% cut into corporate tax rate. We have adjusted our state budget by 3% per GDP, and that means large spending cuts and tax hikes. And we are introducing structural reforms such as municipality reform to streamline public services and encourage more people to work longer. So we have to copy what you have already done here, for instance, when it comes to pension reform. These reforms are complicated and highly unpopular, also in Finland, but they are necessary to boost our economy and to refresh our Nordic welfare model. While each member state presses on with national reforms, we must collectively push for reforms at the European level. We cannot and should not shy away from competition because openness is the key to European economic future. For the European Union, I see the following priorities. First, we need to unleash the full potential of single market. The European Commission estimates that completing the digital single market would alone boost Europe's economic growth by 500 billion euros by 2020. We simply cannot afford to miss that opportunity. Work on the digital single market is now moving ahead quite nicely, but there are still barriers to be removed. The goal is to give European business and consumers full access to large home market without dealing with 28 separate sets of national regulations. Europe needs better broadband infrastructure. Our system for VAT collection and e-payment must be updated. We need a modern EU copyright regime and so on. Regulation must be clear but leave space for technological innovations. Next week's European Council is our chance to push the digital agenda forward. Another part of the internal market is not working properly another part of the internal market that is not working properly is energy. Reliable access to energy at reasonable price is essential to Europe's competitiveness. Unfortunately, we have a long way to go. Second, we must reap the benefits of trade and investments agreements with the United States and other key partners. The European Commission has calculated that implementing an ambitious trade agenda will create 2 million jobs in Europe. European companies need access to new markets and they need new opportunities. We must also open our own markets for more competition. If we put up barriers, we Europeans are the ones cut off from the world's economic pulse. Third, we must complete the banking union as a matter of priority. Banking union is essential to normalizing the European financial market and providing businesses and consumers with the financing they need. Banking union is essential also for organized, swift and legitimate resolution of future problems with the banks. I'm optimistic we can agree on the single resolution mechanism before the current European Parliament ends its term. Related to business financing, we should identify innovative ways to provide funding for Europe's small and medium-sized enterprises. In many EU countries, such as Italy, SMEs are the backbone of the economy. SMEs provide 2/3 of Europe's private sector jobs. Fourth, Europe must regain the upper hand in new technologies and industries. This means bigger investments in education and innovation. I'm glad that new EU budget allocates more resources to research and development. Clean technologies is one particular area where Europe could take the global lead. There is endless demand for cleaner energy production, cleaner industrial processes. We have the knowledge and the capacity to innovate. We just need to give our businesses the freedom and the right incentives to grow. One final point on making Europe thrive economically, we need to reduce the burden European legislation puts on our businesses and jobs. I'm not talking about rewinding integration or returning powers back to member states. This economically fragile period is not the right moment for this debate. We need European legislation in order to advance our common goals on the environment, the single market and the other key issues, but the EU legislation must be designed and implemented in a way that does not hurt the economy and job creation. Italy is a prime example of Europe's strong entrepreneurial spirit and vibrant SMEs. Many of your companies are family businesses with long traditions and global customers. The EU's job is to set these companies free by opening new markets and knocking down barriers. The European Commission has just issued a report on its REFIT initiative to make EU legislation a little bit lighter. This is a very valuable effort, and I thank the Commission for its work. But more must be done, also by the European Parliament and Member States themselves. The key is to see that new EU legislation boosts jobs and competitiveness and not the opposite. Addressing cumbersome rules is important also to the way citizens perceive the European Union. If people see that EU as a source of heavy and illogical regulation, we risk losing sight of the European integration and European idea. As you can see, I view deeper European integration as the right way forward. But when we talk about deepening European integration, we should also discuss the style in which we do it. At a time when so many Europeans are worried about their personal and their country's future, the EU, the style how we reform EU really matters. Populists and Eurosceptics try to ride on our common economic difficulties. We must not let the pressing economic and social challenges poison the whole idea of European integration. And we should not reduce the debate over Europe's future into a simplistic choice between fully fledged United States of Europe or mere technical free trade area. Because this would divide countries and people more than unite. We need united Europe, not divided Europe. Unity is possible to achieve if people find European project fair. It comes from concrete actions which we can use as evidence that we need more fair integration because the challenges are too big to tackle only in national level. This economic and political climate calls for an approach which is pro-European and forward-looking, but also pragmatic and result-oriented. Dear friends, during my visit to the other countries, I always try to make time to meet students, business people and others to hear how they see things. When talking to people outside official meetings, I have often dictated a certain feeling of unfairness towards the other EU states and citizens. I can understand this. Many people worry about their jobs, their pensions and their children's future. Some people, for instance, when I visited in Portugal, asked why the Northerners are so arrogant. Don't Northern European citizens understand the situation of my country and my family? When I meet people in some other countries, people are asking why some South European countries have not lived according to rule base and why we have to help them or pay money or lend money. There are good questions, and this is an example that we have to cooperate closer in the individual level and between South and North, because we cannot afford a division within the European Union which would say that Southerners or Northerners, they are different people and they don't share the same value basis. And that's why I'm talking about fair integration and the style how to further integrate Europe in order to avoid populism, which is saying that all the bad things are coming from Brussels. In challenging times like these, Europeans must stay together. United, our countries are much stronger than they would be alone. How can we reinforce our collective sense of fairness towards Europe? First, we must fully respect Europe's core values at all times: human dignity, freedom, democracy, equality, rule of law, and the respect of human rights. The European Union is so much more than a free trade area. It is a community of shared values, built on democracy and the rule of law. In our community, we have replaced the use of force by rule of law. We must defend those principles also when they are challenged from within. Therefore, I have proposed we improve the way we monitor the rule of law in the EU. The second, we must live according to our common rule basis. Rule-based union is a precondition of fair integration and a union of rule of law. Third, we need strong European solidarity and we need strong national responsibility. Europeans should help each other when help is needed. Be it a question of catching up economically or responding to sudden financial crises, monitoring EU's external borders or reacting to natural disasters. Finland wants to play its part. Our share of the EU budget will increase and we are helping countries in need of financial assistance. We fully supported the Youth Unemployment Initiative and the allocation of €6 billion to tackle the youth unemployment. The tragic events of the coast of Lampedusa reveal a challenge that requires joint European action. Finland supports additional EU support to the region. We are investigating our possibilities to contribute personnel or vessel or Frontex operations if requested. We need European solidarity, but each member state must do its best to keep its own house in order economically. In our close community, national decisions in one country have an impact on the rest of Europe. So we need solidarity and we need national responsibility. Keeping our own house in order requires hard and often unpopular decisions. People usually don't like reforms, and I can see it, and this is the case also today's Finland. But it is the government's duty to do what they see right. It is their obligation towards their own people, but increasingly also towards the other Europeans. Ladies and gentlemen, European integration has been a remarkable success story. It has brought peace to our continent. It has helped to combine free market economy with social and environmental responsibility. But today, European integration is being challenged like never before. We have to choose responsibility or populism. If we choose the first one, then we have to tell this clearly to our citizens. We need fair, moderate, pragmatic, result-oriented European integration. And we have to be ready to defend, because there are so much things to be defended. I am confident that the European Union will emerge from the crisis stronger than before. It will take time and the road ahead will be very bumpy. But thanks to important reforms, we already see our economies getting stronger. What is essential now is that we stay the course and that we focus our energy on what unites us and not what separates us. Because together we are stronger and because the future of Europe is our common future.